Hey everyone, my name is Bree and I am 8 weeks pregnant. I am 8 weeks pregnant with my second child who is due April 9th, 2022, and I am very excited. Right now, baby is the size of a wild strawberry or a raspberry or like one of those big jelly beans. So that's a pretty exciting change from last week. And they have little tiny hands and little tiny feet, and their heart is now four chambered, which is really like just a miniature adult heart. So, uh, lots of big changes with baby this week. Just so you know, I'm at work. This is really the only time I work all weekend, so this is the only time I have to make a little bump date. So I thought I'd just seize the day, seize the opportunity. So yeah, 8 weeks, and the past week I have been feeling nauseous. Like before, I was like, "Am I nauseous? I think I'm nauseous." It was kind of like wishy-washy nausea. I've been nauseous, and I've officially thrown up as of yesterday, so that sucks. I'm hoping that that's a thing of the past. Oh gosh, am I hoping for that not to be a thing, because like I have said, and will probably say every single week, my first pregnancy, I had hyperemesis gravidarum, so I vomited every day, multiple times a day for my entire pregnancy, and I really, really don't want that to happen again because it sucks. Um, yeah, so nausea. What I have not had anymore is that abdominal cramping that I had been having before. That's pretty much completely gone. No real aches and pains, just nausea and very sensitive to smells. And still pretty moody, and I think it's gotten a little bit better. But part of the problem is not only was my first pregnancy difficult, but the situation in its entirety was actually a little bit on the traumatic side. So I am, even though, I love my son, I am so happy that I had him. And I would do it again a million times for that boy because he is so sweet and perfect. It was hard, and those hard feelings and hurt feelings are coming back as I experience pregnancy yet again in a much better, stable, safe, more safe situation that I feel really good about having a baby in, that I chose to have a baby in. It still brings back some of those old pains, those old emotional wounds, and I would say that that's pretty common. Any sort of old trauma can resurface when you are pregnant with your first. Your own childhood trauma might come up, so that's something to be aware of, just mental health wise, for me to be aware of for myself, but also if you're out there pregnant, just understand that might happen, and some of those feelings might come back, and they have for me. And I've had to acknowledge them and let those feelings be, but also I have to really intentionally move forward from that pain, honestly. And I really want to enjoy as much of this as I can, nausea aside. So symptom wise, that's really the whole gist of it this past week. Some exciting things happened this past week. One, I just yesterday, or actually early, I work overnight, so my time's a little bit off, but just a few hours ago, I did my sneak peek test. I work, like I said, I'm a nurse. I work in a hospital where I am right now, hence everything going on in this video. But I had a nurse coworker, do it sterilely, so the results should be accurate, unless it was a flaw on their end, or very, very slight chance of a flaw on ours. It should be accurate results, and I should know hopefully by the next time I update you guys, my 9th week update. I'm hoping to have a gender to give this baby, a little bit more information about them. So that's really exciting. Another really awesome thing that has happened in the last week is I have consulted with 2 midwives. In case you missed it or you're new here, I am planning a home birth, and I was able to speak to 2 midwives that have very different vibes, very different energy. The first one I spoke to, they're definitely very, like, they have a very professional environment, and they are very, like, I would say, like, close to having a hospital birth at home as one could. They have all the testing that you could want, and you get to choose, because that's kind of the model of home birth midwifery is, the information's put out there for you, and then you take that information and decide for yourself what's right for your family and for your body and your baby. And so, but they have everything. They have all the lab work and all the screening, the newborn screening and the prenatal screening and everything. And they have an excellent postpartum care, and both midwives do, but theirs includes like a pelvic floor specialist, which was really awesome. And I felt really good about their knowledge base and how they presented themselves. They were a little bit more expensive than the second midwife that I saw, and I am a little bit concerned that they're a little bit more rigid with some of their guidelines. For example, in the state that I live in, it is legal to have a home birth up to 43 weeks, but their cutoff is 42. And it seems to be 42 regardless of the big picture, like regardless of how mom is doing or how the baby is doing. 42, if you hit 42 weeks, you are automatically now in hospital care, which for some people might be reassuring. For me, it's a little concerning, because that to me it's a little too rigid. It doesn't take into account factors. It might be that it is safe to go a couple more days, or it might be that it should have happened a few days ago. Well, I would prefer to have a midwife who's looking at me personally, not just a number based off a last menstrual period, which could be wrong, So that's a little concerning, a little more expensive. They are about an hour away, so they're a little bit further than the other options that I'm looking at. And they have a pretty strict masking policy, which, I'm a nurse, I have a mask right here. When I'm with my coworkers or with patients, I wear it. And I, a big fan of masking. You should be doing that. But in my home, during labor, I'm allowed to be unmasked, and so is my partner, but my 7-year-old would have to be. And I don't love that. That doesn't feel right to me. I would rather him not have to be. So not a big deal, but it's something that is on the back of my mind. The second midwife I met, totally, just as knowledgeable, just as experienced, has done like 500 births, like has been around, much different energy, very kind of that like very earthy, like kind of medicine woman kind of vibes, and not in an uneducated way, just in a much more I don't know what to say, more relaxed, I guess. Like the first one I felt like very rigid, this one more relaxed, and there are some things that I like about that, but there were some things that I felt more secure with the more strict midwife. So this one, a little bit less expensive, offers excellent prenatal and postnatal care, just like the other, sees you like a bunch of times after you have your baby, which is really important and something that the standard hospital care doesn't do well. We don't do postpartum care very well at all. So she does a really great job. Has been in the business for a while. My biggest pros, of course, more affordable. She has a tub which she offers to anyone free of charge. We just have to get a liner. If I decide I want water birth as an option. She has like a very good history as far as like losses, and my concern is I think she has a little bit of a higher transfer rate from what I could gather than the previous one, which is a little strange because she also is a little bit less rigid with her guidelines for transferring based off post dates, specifically. Otherwise, their care lined up. They monitor very similarly. They have very similar guidelines for when they decide, it's best to transfer, and their prenatal care looks a lot alike. They both offer testing. The second midwife does send out some things, but she does, prenatal screening and all of that too. So, two really great options, but I think I want to meet a couple other people. So I do have a couple other consultations scheduled in the next 2 weeks, and I'm not ready to make a decision based off the two that I've seen so far. So I will keep you guys posted on what I decide and why I ultimately decide to go the way I go. I think ideally I'd like to have someone in the middle, kind of someone not quite as rigid nor quite as free. Somewhere in the middle I think would be best for me. But I also don't feel unsafe with either, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think I would be uncared for with either. I think I would have a good outcome if I went with either of the options that I have seen so far. So that's a pretty exciting thing that has happened in the past couple of weeks. Let's see. Nothing really has happened outside of that. If you watched my first video, I think I said that I wanted to publicly announce at 8 weeks, but I haven't done that yet because I'm still waiting on props from Etsy to get here. And now that I've waited this long, I'm like, well, why not wait for sneak peek? And then I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to wait for sneak peek, I may as well wait 1 extra week for the ultrasound picture, to have the full image here. So I don't know. I guess I will probably wait until about 10 weeks. I think that's what's going to end up happening because my ultrasound is the day before I turn 10 weeks. So less than 2 weeks away at this point. So that's really exciting. This upcoming week I don't have anything wildly exciting happening. Oh, that's not true. I'm sending out sneak peek tomorrow. I should have the results back within 7 days. So, that is exciting. Never mind. Take it back. That's really exciting. But otherwise, no other appointments or anything. And I don't have any baby buys. I have been holding off on buying anything for baby until I know a little bit more. I have put together a list of things I think I'll need. Asked mothers who are sorry, still at the tail end of that cold, hence, masks are important here. But I've asked some people who've had babies, what they think is important, and that's helped. If you have suggestions, please leave them. It's been a long time. But I think I'll leave you now and update you guys next week, hopefully with a gender. But let me show off my non-existent baby bump. Let's see. Got nothing really. See what I mean? Ooh. Should have brought water with me. Yep, just a normal fluff. So that is week 8, and I will see you guys next week.